Today on CityCast Denver, why do some Denverites put honey on their pizza crust? That was the question I asked over 10 years ago that led to an obsession with the local pizza chain Beau and what they call Colorado-style pizza. But I finally put it all behind me last year when I sat down for an interview with the legendary longtime owner of Beau, Chip Bair. I'm excited to share that interview in full today for the first time. And for my whole personal saga with this, if you're interested, check out my episode of the great podcast, The Sporkful, that I'm going to link to in the show notes. Today is Monday, February 23rd. I'm Paul Caroli, and here's what Denver's talking about. Well, then let's get into it. Let's start at the beginning. Can you tell me the origin story of Colorado-style pizza?
The origin story of Colorado-style pizza. All right. This is going to be hard with the microphone this close because I have to lay back and get in a really comfortable position to start thinking about that. I purchased the restaurant. I'll give you the real story, not the happy story, okay?
Okay. That's what I want the truth.
Okay. All right. Well, the real story is that I purchased the restaurant on April 1st of 1973. It was my favorite April Fool's joke. I bought it from a couple by the name of Joe and Beau. Beau and Joanne. There we go. I better take another drink of water here. Okay, Beau and Joanne Falk, they had started it, about a year and a half before I purchased it from them. Beau's uncle was Norm Brinker, who owned Brinker Restaurants. Okay, Chili's and that. He and his father, or his uncle and Beau's father, had started Steak and Ale. They were living up outside of town in a little mine called the Crazy Girl. About 4 miles out of town. Most of their employees were living up at the mine. Because they were living at a mine, they put in a shower in the restaurant. The restaurant was 60 or 70 square feet, which included the shower. So we started off really small. They did, I think, $22,000 worth of business for their first year in business. There was kind of a hobby business for them. So they decided they wanted to sell out because Comet Kohoutek was supposed to be coming through and destroying the planet.
What is that? Oh,
Comet Kohoutek.
A comet.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay.
They were like
that was
astrology people?
Yeah, this was back in the early 70s. They were followers of the Maharishi Mahesh Yogi, and they're kind of following that, and they thought that, so they wanted to sell out and move down to Hot Springs, Arkansas, because that was going to be the safest place to be.
All right.
So
all kinds of people in Colorado.
Yeah. So the price was really good.
Now, I saw you were on record. You've said at different times $7,500 and $8,500.
Yeah, and I'm just trying to remember back because I know I've done that. And I think the original price was $8,500, but I paid it back on time, so I got a $1,000 discount, so it ended up being $7,500.
There you go.
I think that's how that works.
Okay,
again, so that's going back a long time. But
you bought the place. Beau and Joanne, they went to Arkansas.
Right.
What kind of pizza were they serving?
They were serving real good pizza. Basically, that's what I got was the recipes in that. They weren't doing the mountain style pizzas that we were. They were just all flat pizzas. They had a relatively good portion of ingredients on them. But the thing was they got the recipes from Joanne's family. They were from Kansas City, and they had some grandfathers and stuff like that. Anyhow, they were using like dried green peppers, canned mushrooms, dehydrated green peppers, dehydrated onions, really not the best stuff. They did have some good stuff, but they weren't using all the best product that they could. Mm-hmm. So the first thing I did when I came in and took over, I switched everything to fresh ingredients, none of the dehydrated and the canned stuff and that. And the one employee I inherited from them, who actually taught me the business, was a lady by the name of
You've talked about her before. Is this Patsy May?
Patsy May. Thank you. Boy, you know more than I do.
I've spent a lot of time thinking about your business.
Anyways, Patsy May, she's the one that taught me how to do the roll on the edge of the pizza. And that's kind of what started to differentiate us.
And that's the braided, the big braided crust.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Where did she get it?
I think she started doing it. And they never did it when the folks owned it, but she had come up with that. I don't know anything else than that. I think she just kind of came up with it.
Really?
Yeah.
Because it's like one of your things that you're known for is that big braided crust.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that's our trademark. Definitely.
Well, we'll talk about the trademark stuff later.
Okay.
But so she just, I guess she had worked for Beau and Joanne. You bought the place, and then she must have been like, well, time for a refresh. We're doing all new ingredients.
I'm always try to be inclusive. I'm asking people, what are your ideas? What are your thoughts? Let's come up with new ideas or whatever. And that was one of the things that she taught me.
Huh.
She actually taught me how to make the pizzas. I didn't spend a whole lot of time with Beau and Joanne after I took it over, or before I took it over.
Oh, really? Had you not been in the pizza business or the restaurant business?
I hadn't, no.
Wow.
Had not been in the restaurant business. I had worked in restaurants. One of my first jobs was working as a busboy in a restaurant up in Duluth, Minnesota. It was a pretty interesting place.
Huh.
But yeah.
Okay. So Beau and Joanne, they had a good business going, like you said. They were making $22,000 a year, I think you said.
That was their gross sales.
Pretty good, you know.
That's not a whole lot.
Not a whole lot?
Not a whole lot.
Okay. All right.
Even in those days.
So you bought the place, you made some changes, new ingredients, you thought this new crust. Like, why did you adopt this particular new crust?
People eat with their eyes. And I wanted to make a pizza that was for the mountain appetites. I'm a little guy, but I can eat a whole lot. I used to go in. I used to go into Pizza Hut or whatever, and I could eat their whole large pizza all by myself, no problem.
Huh.
And so again, thinking of the mountain appetites, people eat with their eyes. It allowed us to put more stuff on the pizzas, so we could really fill them in, and of quality, high quality stuff. We tried to do the very best thing we could, and yeah, it was people liked it.
Yeah. I mean, yeah. I mean, people definitely have liked it for a long time. I got to be honest, that does not make sense to me, that you need a bigger crust if you have more toppings.
Well, the toppings aren't going to stay on. That's the ingredient restraint system.
Is that a problem you have with pizza a lot of times?
It can be. Yeah, if it comes over the edges and that, if you put, we build them up rather than out, and we make them thick. So yeah, it's if we use the same amount of ingredients on our prairie pie, it's going to come off the pie. It doesn't stay. It doesn't stay in so good.
Huh.
That's why we do. That's the ingredient restraint system, like I said.
The ingredient restraint system.
And when we first started out, we were also we had 5 thicknesses of crust: extra thin,
really?
Regular, extra thick, and Sicilian.
Oh.
As things got a lot busier, it was pretty much impossible to continue all of those different things. And most people got the standard thickness, and so that's kind of what we ended up with.
So the standard thickness is what you're currently serving as the mountain pie?
Right.
That was Patsy May's invention?
Well, the mountain pie was, I don't remember if I made it a little thicker than what they were. That I don't recall. But that was Patsy May's invention.
But so she invented it. You were offering different types, and then people came back for this, and it was clear that what people were responding to was this.
Actually, the first thing that happened was the mountain pie. And then we started doing all kinds of different crusts.
I see.
And along with that, we were one of the very first in the country to do a whole wheat crust. At that time, I saw a couple of other restaurants in different parts of the country that were starting to do whole wheat about the same time. I don't know exactly who was first or whatever, but we were definitely one of the very first people to do a whole wheat crust in the country. So,
do you remember a moment when you realized the business was going to work?
I can't say that there was a moment that I realized the business was going to work. I guess I've never looked at it like that. Business was good. It was, and in the old days when I first took it over, I'd get up. It was, like I said, April 1st, and ski areas were opening for another month and a half. So I'd get up in the morning and go up to the ski areas and put some flyers out, and business kept building and building, and that was all good. And yeah, we would ponder and think about what we could do, and had lots of thoughts, and we still do.
Yeah, that's interesting that you were. You advertise at the ski resorts, because that's what you always hear from Coloradans about Bojos. People who grew up here, they, like I would say, at least half of the people that I've talked to about this, they'll say, "Oh my God, I remember going up skiing or going out hiking in the mountains, and then on the way home you stop at Bojos."
Well, and skiing was, especially back 50 years ago, that was really the biggest draw, especially in the winter. I mean, that's the only draw in the winter. And it's gotten better and better over the years, but that's definitely, I just run up to Loveland. I'd put flyers out on the people's windshields, and
just now, just this week, or
no,
back in
this
the
is
70s?
back. This is back in the 70s, and then I'd run back down, open up get the restaurant open, and serve people until they quit coming in. Lay my sleeping bag down at the bottom on the floor, and turn on TV and watch TV for half an hour. Mork and Mindy was my favorite. And go to sleep and get up and do the same thing the next day.
Another Colorado connection.
Yep.
Mork and Mindy. Yeah, that's good. The honey. We have to talk about the honey.
The honey.
So, I'll just ask you straight. Where did the honey come from?
It was, and in your email, when you were contacting me, you had asked me about the honey in Cece. And quite honestly, Cece was an old girlfriend, but I was thinking it was a different girlfriend that came up with the honey. Now, it could have been Cece. Again, this is 50 years ago, but I was always thinking it was Cecil. I was in this C thing for a while with girlfriends.
Okay.
And anyways, I was thinking it was Cecil that came up with the honey, because we actually did honey and butter at the same time. And at that point in time, we put a whole lot of like oil lamps in the restaurant, had a really chill vibe on it. It was really neat. And yeah, we did the butter and the honey. We were using honey in the crust. We've always, when I first started, that was one of the very first things I did, is I took the sugar out of the crust and put honey in. And that's one of the things that does set us apart from other restaurants, is that we do use honey, and we make our dough fresh throughout the day.
Yeah. Yeah, you got the whole wheat, you got the honey in the crust.
Right.
So there's honey in the kitchen, and then you're dating these Cecil named women. And was there a moment, do you remember, was there a first time someone put the honey on the crust? Or
Oh, I couldn't remember that. We just came up with the idea, started doing it, and it was like, yeah, people really liked it. So yeah, that was real good.
I mean, it's so unique. Like, no one in the country does this. People do hot honey now.
Yeah.
They'll drizzle it on. But it's different. It's not what you do here. This is a very special, unique thing. You and one of these ex-girlfriends and your family came up with this.
Mm-hmm. Again, we like to try new things and look at things differently.
So the honey thing, though, like, you tried it one night, you were all like, you maybe put a little butter on the crust, put a little honey on the crust.
Yeah.
You're like, wow, this is something.
Yeah, because we had that big roll in the crust, and so that's a built-in dessert. And that's why it was not so much to put it on top of the pizza as you're eating the pizza, but to put it on the crust. Mm-hmm. And I do see there's a lot of people that actually put it on their pizza. I still just put it on my crust. I had some today, actually. I don't know, it was yesterday.
So there's this style of pizza that you all serve with it's the big thick crust, sometimes braided, sometimes whole wheat and honey mixed in the dough. Different people make it different ways. It has been replicated. Why do you think it hasn't been replicated more?
Yeah, I don't know. there's different styles of pizza all over the country. And I know that there's some people that have copied us. To what extent, I don't know. But yeah, I don't have a good answer for that one.
How do you feel about the fact that other people are doing kind of your thing? There's Woody's and Golden, there's Hernando's, Pizza Peddler, The Sink. They're all doing variations.
Well, The Sink, that we used to be involved with The Sink.
Really?
Yeah. They were our first licensee.
Oh.
And so they ended up, that one I don't feel so good about.
Tell me about it.
This is, again, a long time ago. And actually, we first set it up when it was Herbie's Deli. It had been The Sink back in the 60s, 50s and 60s. And then there was a period that they switched to Herbie's Deli. It was the same family.
Mm-hmm.
And they contacted us to see about adding our pizza, and we go, okay, fine. So we set up an agreement and so forth, and things were generally running pretty good. But again, it was our first thing is trying to work with somebody else. And in that situation, we probably didn't do some things right, and they probably didn't do some things right. But I was, I was pretty idealistic, especially at that point in time. I still am. But I was really idealistic, and I had some challenges with maybe the way that they were dealing with their employees and stuff. And I'm not real quiet sometimes, and I was recommending things or whatever, but it wasn't taken so good. And I shouldn't have been doing that. That wasn't my spot. And anyway, so our relationship kind of went sour, and they kept on doing the pizza. And they changed it a bit, but it's pretty similar to what we do.
This is fascinating to me. So you had a licensing arrangement where they could tell that you had something going on up here in Idaho Springs.
Oh, yeah.
They knew that this place was popping. And they came and they were like, we want to serve your pizza down at our place in Boulder. Lots of Coloradans will know The Sink is this famous Boulder institution. Robert Redford worked there for a while, famously.
Right.
And you were like, sure. I mean, we figured out a deal. They pay you a little bit of money. They could make your pizza there. Mm-hmm. You had some oversight over how it was presented. Mm-hmm. Business deal didn't go good.
Exactly.
In fact, it sounded like it went quite sour.
Mm-hmm. It did, unfortunately.
Unfortunately, these things happen sometimes.
Yep. Too much.
But then they had learned how to make the pizza. Mm-hmm. And they kept making it.
Right.
And so they didn't keep.
They changed the recipes a little bit.
Okay. What were you calling the pizza at that time? Like, how were you describing it?
Well, at that point in time, I think that was, I think we're doing Great American Pizza. We're kind of going through it. And those days we're going through some different iterations as far as it was Bojo's, but it wasn't Colorado style pizza at that point. We called it Great American Pizza. And that's kind of along with when we were doing we started the international collection and stuff.
Oh, I see. So that was in the 70s. Still,
and that was in the 70s. And then we kind of grew and we developed the prairie pie, figuring, the mountains and the prairie pie being a thinner crust with less ingredients, which is more traditional in the pizza market. And people tend to go with the manufacturers, the people that make them, like you were asking the question. Why didn't have more people copied us? I think people tend to do the traditional things, and since then, the wood-fired pizzas have become very popular, and they're really good.
Sure.
And I actually, a long time ago, way back when, I was thinking about trying to do a wood-fired. That was before anybody was doing wood-fired. I didn't think I'd ever be able to get a wood-fired oven approved by the health department, so I didn't pursue it.
What could have been?
Yeah, it could have been
another
interesting.
World. But. So you were calling it the Great American Pizza.
Yeah.
And the folks at The Sink were like, we want a piece of that. Mm-hmm. We want some of that action. Yep. And then it goes bad. And then you were just like, okay, good. Do your thing. And then they keep serving it. But they do they still call it that? Or
no,
what were they saying?
They call it ugly pizza, I think. I haven't looked at their website.
Yeah, I've
for
seen
years.
this phrase. They say it like ugly
Yeah,
ass
because
pizza.
what they did is because they kept rolling the crust, but they instead of they just kind of partially rolled it instead of doing a full roll. And they changed some of their ingredients and some of the portions. I think I don't recall exactly what they did change. And not, they didn't have access to our sauce anymore, so they had to come up with a new sauce.
Yeah. But if you've been to Bojo's and then you go to the sink, you'd recognize it.
Okay. Okay.
I mean,
and again, I haven't been in the sink for years, but
have you been back since this deal went bad?
seen me as in there maybe once or twice after it.
This is interesting. This whole this business deal going bad, because it does make me think about the trademark.
Okay.
This is the other thing I want to ask you about.
Right.
You trademarked the term Colorado style pizza,
Right.
as well as the terms mountain pies and prairie pies in 2004.
Okay.
Why did you do that?
Thought it was a good idea. I still think it was a good idea. It's really hard to get to trademark something like Colorado style, and we had to jump through some hoops to make that happen. We had a good trademark attorney. I can't recall his name right off the top of my head. He retired some years ago, and we thought that was because it's different. And nobody else is doing that. So why not do a Colorado style? I mean, there's Chicago style and there's Pittsburgh style and Detroit and everything else. And we were doing something that was definitely different. And, the licensing attorney said, yeah, we can do it. And we were able to. So the federal government said, okay, fine. And that's why you might not have seen it on a state, because it's a federal.
Yes. It's a federal trademark.
Yeah.
Have you ever come across another place, or have you ever come across another place that was using the term since you trademarked it?
Seems to me we did. We sent them a letter to stop and cease. I believe they stopped.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you remember the place?
No, I don't.
Is there any connection between the sink situation and wanting to protect the IP of the phrase Colorado style pizza?
I wouldn't say so. That really is never. Yeah, I don't think so.
Like I was saying, I've talked to a few other pizzeria owners who make this style of pizza or variations on it, similar ones.
You'll have to tell me who they are, because I haven't tried them.
Oh, you should. Hernando's in Winter Park. They've been doing it for a long time.
Okay.
Pizza Peddler in Winter Park with a sink, of course. Woody's in Golden, I think, is very similar. There's a place in Ames, Iowa that does it. I've heard reports of people, at least the honey, having honey on the table as far as Alaska.
Okay. Yeah, I've heard of other people doing honey and stuff. Yeah.
The honey, I think, is much more widespread than the braided crust, but both elements do overlap, especially the closer proximity to here.
And I think I was aware of Hernando's. They had talked to me. They were in Winter Park. I think they had talked to me at that time when they were doing it. I don't recall exactly the discussions, and I think I knew that they went and opened something up and worked on copying us.
Yeah, how'd you feel about that?
I guess that's a form of flattery, right? Copying is a good form of flattery.
I mean, I could see how a lot of people would say that, but that makes me think about the trademark again. Like the trademark, I've talked to so many people about this, and like people have different reactions, but there's definitely a lot of people, a lot of Coloradans. And this was how I first felt when I first interacted with it, when I first heard about it. I thought, well, no one owns a trademark for Chicago style pizza. No one owns a trademark for New York style pizza. Like part of what is so special about that for those places is that it's shared and that the whole community benefits from it. Do you know what I mean?
Okay.
Like if imitation is the highest form of flattery, like everyone would know that Bojo's was the originator. Like, do you ever worry, or maybe do you think that the trademark has possibly hindered the spread of this style of pizza that you created, that you should be getting credit for?
Never thought about it.
Well, what do you think about it now?
I don't know. I'll have to think about that. It's an interesting thought. I've never thought about it.
Like Lou Malnati's, of Chicago,
right.
or like Uno's. Like these places are famous and sought after, and people go to Chicago to eat there. Mm-hmm. I mean, people go to Bojo's to eat Colorado style pizza, but maybe if it was more famous, it was more known.
And those were the original Chicago style pizzas.
Yeah.
And I think that, I don't know, why they didn't trademark them, or, maybe too many people were doing it at the same time. Because again, like, it is hard to trademark that. You've got to show that you are doing something definitely different than other people are doing. And so there were hoops to jump through on that. And that's why we were able to do it, because we could prove that we were doing things that other people weren't doing. And that's probably why they didn't do it in Chicago and New York and things like that, because it just kind of happened organically and people started just doing it. And by that point in time, there was like, everybody's doing the same thing.
Huh. How did you prove it that you were doing it so differently when there are these other places? I mean, you knew about the sink because they, according to you, they ripped you off.
Well, those details I couldn't remember. I'm sorry. I have no idea on that. Again, because that's...
This is 2004.
Yeah. I don't know. I don't have a good answer for that for you. Again, it's been a while ago. I just... Yeah, that didn't come up when we were talking about it with the licensing attorney. Was it 2004 that we put that in? I thought it was before that.
That's when the trademark's registered for.
I thought we did it earlier than that. Yeah, I don't know. Can't give you a good answer for it. I wish I could.
Yeah, I wish so too. I mean, it's been a long time.
Again, because we worked hard to get that trademark. We had to jump through a bunch of hoops, and I couldn't tell you what the hoops are, to be honest with you, because I was involved in it, but the attorneys were doing most of that.
Well, it sounds like you had to prove that you were unique.
Yeah, we had to, and I think that was the primary thing, is that we had to prove that we were unique and we were doing things that other people were not doing. Because I know they were saying, yeah, it's unusual to be able to get that kind of a trademark.
It's super unusual.
Yeah.
It's very broad. I mean, and there's all these places that would be benefiting from it. And like the pizza community itself, I feel like, I don't know, I think there's an argument. I mean, marketing professionals, there was this article in Pizza Today, they were like, everybody wants to have a style. Every region wants to have a style. It's a tourism draw. It drums up business. It's better for everybody.
You're putting something in my mind I should think about. I haven't thought about it before.
It did seem like, I mean, like I said, I've studied your story. I know a little bit about you. I know that
you know a lot about me. It sounds like.
Yeah. I mean, I'm
going to call you up when I forget what I'm doing.
You're welcome to. I'd be happy to talk anytime. This is a fascinating business.
It is an interesting business. It's a fun business because it changes all the time, as everything does.
Yeah.
But you got to be changing things all the time, getting on top of things. What do you do next? How do you stay fresh? How do you stay new?
I guess I have one last question, which is just the future of Bojo's. You opened a store in Denver?
We did open a store in Denver
years ago.
About a year ago.
Yeah.
It's hidden. It's a hidden jewel right across the street from DU on Evans and University. And we've got parking underneath the store. And so parking is good and available, but you can't see it. And that's the problem. It's kind of hidden.
Yeah, Denverites, they don't like that parking underground stuff.
Yeah. And see, I haven't lived in a city for 50 years, so I don't know how I figured, hey, it's a city. People are used to that.
Yeah.
It's a handy place to get into. It's real easy. You just walk up the stairs. You don't even have to go outside. But
I'm sure it's extraordinarily convenient and empty 90% of the time.
And I'm not sure about how full it is. When I've been in there, it hasn't been very full.
So the business of Bojo's, how's it doing?
We're doing okay. We're doing good. It could be better.
Sure.
It's down a little bit. Idaho Springs is challenged because of the work they're doing on I-70.
Really?
Oh yeah, that hurts.
Huh.
Yeah, because they're doing all that work on I-70, and then we've got Blue Sky Mountain is closed for the summer.
Oh.
And it's going to be closed, I think, for a little over a year.
Is ski season a busy season for you?
July is generally the busiest month.
Interesting.
Okay. And as history has gone, tendency, and I quite honestly, I haven't looked at this dynamic for a while, but usually the winter will be busy, the summer will be busier, then the next winter will be busier, and so forth and so on. The business in the summer is much more consistent. winter business, you're kind of slow during the week. You get really slammed on weekends during the week. Or in the summertime, though, you have the business is much steadier throughout the week. So because of that, your volumes are much higher in the summertime.
Interesting. So legacy, you're trying to retire. We talked about you've moved most of the time to Hawaii.
Yeah.
Summers you're back.
Right.
What do you think your legacy is going to be?
I don't know. I haven't really thought about that so much. My kids are taking over. My daughter's is taking over as president. She's doing a really good job. She's a young executive. She has things to learn. I still have a lot to learn, so we all do. But she's making a lot of good decisions, making some good changes. And yeah, we're looking forward to being prosperous in the future. We have a lot of really good things happening here in Idaho Springs. Again, we're in a little bit of a dip right now with the construction on I-70, but with the Argo Mighty cable car opening up, the new bike park that we have in Virginia Canyon, it's an incredible bike park. It's way above my pay grade. I can't ride it. I like riding bikes,
right?
But it's way too steep for me. I'm an old guy. I fall down, I break.
Mm-hmm. I heard about that gondola project they're doing. That sounds like a cool thing.
Oh, it's really going to be cool. We've been supporting that since the very beginning of it. So we're looking forward to that. A lot of great things happening here in Idaho Springs. We're got designs on changing our streetscape out in front, so the Minor Street Market will be a permanent thing. It'll be closed down in the winters, but it's going to be really nice. So there's a lot of improvements that are happening in town.
I'm realizing I'm scrolling back through my questions. I should get this from you just so I in case I don't have another chance. How do you define Colorado-style pizza?
That's always a good question. Colorado-style pizza is pizza that's made with the mountains in mind. With a hearty appetites. So they're with a lot of ingredients, a lot of stuff. We utilize the ingredient restraint system, which I spoke about earlier, to keep all the ingredients on. We believe in building them up rather than out. So the crust it looks like it's really thick, but in the center it's not so thick. It's just got that outside crust, the braided crust to keep everything in. So you really get a lot of your premium ingredients, and every bite is really good.
Is the honey?
And well, with the honey and putting the honey on the side is for your built-in dessert.
Is that not part of it for you?
Oh yeah, I eat it all the time.
But is it part of Colorado? When you think Colorado-style pizza, you didn't mention it.
Yeah, I guess it is. Yeah. When I'm talking about it, yeah, it is.
Because to me, there's two main things to me. It's the big ass crust.
Yeah.
The braided crust, and it's the honey.
And the honey.
To me.
Yeah.
That's what I see replicated.
And I don't think that much about the honey because I'm so used to doing it.
Well, yeah. I mean, you're a fish in water. It's just.
I do it most of the time. I don't always have a mountain pie. A lot of times I do prairie pies. I do different kinds of pizzas all the time, playing with different things and stuff. But
I like that. You're still trying different stuff. Still looking for that next thing.
Oh, always. You got to be doing it.
That's inspiring. Chip Bear, thank you so much for talking to me.
Thank you for having me here.
That's all for today here on CityCast Denver. If you enjoyed the show, why not take a minute to tell the owners of the sink about us, but I talked to them after I talked to Chip. They actually confirmed his story, but said the lawsuit was resolved under the previous owners who they bought the sink from in 1992. They also told me that they hired someone from Fort Collins to tweak the pizza recipe after the Bojo's deal went sideways. So their ugly crust pizza is maybe not exactly like Bojo's today, but it still has that shared origin. If you liked this episode, please rate the show 5 stars wherever you get your podcasts, and subscribe to our morning newsletter and learn more about us at denver.citycast.fm. Thanks so much to all of our neighbors who chose to support CityCast by becoming a member. You too can support the show and get great perks by becoming a CityCast Denver neighbor today at membership.citycast.fm. We'll be back tomorrow morning with more news from around the city. See you then.